What our app actually does is it allows a Shopify store to make their product catalog available to another Shopify store so that they can then retail their product seamlessly. If you think about it, it's sort of like a dropshipping 3.0 type setup, where all you have to do was within a 10-minute sort of like setup process is decide what products you're going to retail, what the cut is going to be between you and your partners, and who, of course, would be retailing those products.
Like, we started selling this product out of the trunk of our cars.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Inventory management is about balance.
Get the product out. That's number one.
I've always preached sustainable growth.
So we just started building community.
Look at the data.
Product development is everything.
Yeah, we say we're a brick, click, and pop.
But you have to love what you do.
God, I'm really excited about this one because, as Scott said, when these guys did their presentation to us, like I was like, wow, this is really cool, and I could see how it could really work for many different stores. So, Cade, welcome. Cade is from Caro app.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll let you introduce it and show us, because I'm sure everybody else is going to be as blown away as we were.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So one sec, let me go ahead and share my screen. Cool. Can everybody see the PowerPoint okay?
Yeah, you're good.
So I think just to kind of set the stage, it's kind of an interesting thing. We've been historically an influencer marketing platform for the past year and a half since we launched. And back in April, when things really started to hit, we heard from our top companies, a lot of the same things, which was, hey, look, guys, a lot of our brick and mortar contracts have fallen through, and now we're sitting on this massive pile of inventory, and we really need to just figure out ways of being able to creatively work with our influencer base to move some product. So we had this idea in the backlog for quite a while, and we sort of kind of deliberated internally and decided like this was a really interesting opportunity to really help our brands and our network really sell more together and scale their online retail. So I think a lot of this is going to echo similar sentiments to what we just heard, but brick and mortar is absolutely in a different place, and so is e-commerce. In 2020, spending has absolutely reached record highs, and I think on a really interesting note as well, any illusions that companies thought sort of the limitations that were there for e-commerce companies, I think those illusions are kind of gone, and people are really seeing that the power of e-commerce. And so, of course, everybody's also stuck at home. They're spending a lot of money, and as a result, of course, brick and mortar is not doing really well. We've had a record number of bankruptcies this year with companies that we're kind of thinking that were staples before, but it's absolutely not the case. And I feel like every month we should be adding another list of a couple of companies that are not doing so well on the slide. So on top of that, coupled with both of those things, now that things are going more online, spending, it's getting more expensive to actually reach your customers. There's a more saturated market, more competition, it gets more expensive to reach people. And as such, it's an interesting sort of dynamic to work through. And that's why we're launching this brand partnerships program. So effectively, what we do is we help two brands work together in a way that normally would be very difficult in a retail relationship. What our app actually does is it allows a Shopify store to make their product catalog available to another Shopify store so that they can then retail their product seamlessly. If you think about it, it's sort of like a dropshipping 3.0 type setup, where all you have to do was within a 10-minute sort of like setup process is decide what products you're going to retail, what the cut is going to be between you and your partners, and who, of course, would be retailing those products. So we have a few companies we're doing this already. We just kicked this off not too long ago, but from a perspective of Shopify and the Shopify ecosystem, of course, we have some classic examples. We have State Bicycle Company, and they're selling hand-up gloves. So State Bicycle Company came to us, and they sell really amazing bicycles. They've won several awards, but they wanted to add more of a product catalog offering on their website. And they sort of ran into this issue where they didn't necessarily know what products to add to the catalog first. It's kind of a tricky question when you're thinking about having a retail partnership with another company. It's, how many units you're going to buy, what variants are going to buy. I mean, what is your audience really going to like? There's a lot of guesswork involved, and it's a lot of an upfront commitment, especially with the degree of uncertainty that sort of exists right now. So they wanted to work with hand-up gloves and used our tech to do so. So on their website, you can actually go through, check out their accessories collection, check out their gloves, and all of the gloves that are actually listed there are coming through Caro. Now, like I said before, the customer experience is absolutely seamless. The customer actually can't tell the difference between an item that's being connected through Caro versus one that's being natively retailed. Another great example, of course, is Social Sparkling Wine. They sell really nice like spritzers, wine cans, bottled that comes in a pack. And of course, I think drinking is, of course, up this year. But one of the things they didn't offer on the website that they felt that they wanted to add was a anti-hangover morning recovery kind of beverage. And so, especially when we're talking about cross-selling, this is a really interesting tactic where, you know, you might not necessarily, I'm a customer, I'm coming onto the website, and of course, like I'm interested in getting some sparkling wine, but I might not necessarily be thinking about the next day or so, or, you know, like the after effects of having a good night. So this is a good way of adding that opportunity for customers to come through and purchase those products through a social site without them having to, of course, front all that inventory and house that and warehouse that and deal with all the shipping. And as I mentioned sort of in the beginning too, we've been a influencer marketing platform before, and to give a little bit more context into that, what we do is we surface your brand's most influential customers, email subscribers, and social media followers. We list those, we show those results in a beautiful dashboard where you can really quickly and easily see who those influencers are from a qualitative and quantitative perspective. And we even give you a little bit of context as to the influencers and how they've interacted. So if they're a customer, we show you the items that they bought and when they bought it, and you get to effectively use that information along with the contact information that we make available to reach out to these influencers and either grow your influencer ambassador program, grow an influencer cohort of sorts, or just really connect with really interesting people who can, of course, move the needle for you. But I think if you sort of think about the shift and everything that's happening with a high degree of uncertainty, brands in the influencer marketing space are looking to really understand the attribution behind influencer marketing, right? I think the tolerance for taking risks with influencers has really gone down, and brands ultimately want to know what they're getting as from an ROI standpoint in working with influencers. So our technology effectively is a Shopify sales channel, and as such, you know, what we found is that influencers at a certain level, especially when you reach about 1 million followers, naturally start creating their own merch stores. Either it's a merch store of some sort, or they start selling presets, for example, if like you're an influencer like Sam Calder. And 9 times out of 10, it happens to be that they do this on Shopify. So our tech with brand partnerships actually works on influencer stores as well. So in this case, we're working with an influencer named Lemmy. She's got over 2 million followers. And now she's sort of taking the model where she has her own Shopify site, and the products that she's retailing, she's not housing any of the inventory from it, but she's using our technology to retail really great brands that she has these relationships with. And what's great about this too in influencer marketing is that Lemmy goes from making 45% as an affiliate commission by linking out and referring brands to making real retail cuts. So she's a real retailer in this case, and that means that on a per transaction basis, she's now making anywhere between 10 to 45%. So from a perspective of influencer marketing, this is really exciting for influencers. Because in a way, this allows them to organically promote the #1 link that they have in their bio, which is their own personal website, drive traffic to that, and make a real commission and based on the sales that they're making. So like I was mentioning before, with the way that our tech works, it's really easy, actually. And this is something that's pretty fun. It's all you have to do is you have a conversation with a brand that you're looking to work with. The only limitation that exists is that you have to be a Shopify site. You decide on the rev splits, you decide on the products, you decide who's going to retail, and within 10 minutes, we can get you up and running and make those products available on your store. And as I mentioned before, the overall experience is absolutely seamless. The customer, from the customer side, they when they're shopping for products, they can't tell the difference between what's being natively retailed versus what's being connected through Caro. It's a one checkout experience, one cart experience, and basically what will happen is the supplier will then go through and fulfill the product. The retailer will fulfill their half of the product as well. And the customer gets the items in the mail not too long after. So on top of that, we give you a really beautiful dashboard where you can actually see what's going on with your influencer partnerships. So we're still in alpha beta right now of this, but what we're rolling out is a brand dashboard where you can see the actual ROI from your collaborations with these different brands. Gives you this really beautiful graphic overview as to how things are looking for each one of your relationships, and also just on a high level. This is just really fun when you're trying to understand, like, okay, like how real is this? And on top of that, I mean, this is just, it's a really fascinating tool, I think, specifically also for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, because there's so many benefits to it. And especially as, you know, we're talking about such an opportunity on the horizon, with retailing or supplying, there's a lot that you can do. And I think really what we're seeing a lot of the time is brands are very naturally finding great synergistic fits with other companies that are really complementary to them. And so whether it's bicycle helmets on a bicycle store or that anti-hangover prevention drink for the wine company, what's really wonderful about this is if you're a retailer, you're increasing your average order value because what you're doing is you're making these new products available, and that also creates really interesting cross-sale opportunities. On top of that, there's no upfront cost, like I was mentioning before, and this is a great way of getting new customers. So on top of that, I think what's so much fun that I get to see is the co-marketing that comes out of it. So if you're doing like some joint social media giveaways or some newsletter blasts, all of that is, I think, part of the fun in finding these great partnerships and these relationships. That's something that we help you do. And as a supplier, of course, what's happening is that you're now able to be discovered on new websites in a really interesting way, in that you're making your products available to new customers, but you're not having to spend any money for that attention of the new customers. They're coming onto your partners' websites, your products are there, they're being retailed, and you get to then, of course, share in the benefit of those sales. On top of that, we actually share the customer information from both parties' perspectives, so you get to realize that customer lifetime value. So apart from that, if you're interested in looking to find a really great partner for your store, we have a brand directory. All you have to do is sign up for Caro, install our app, and if you're added to the waitlist for our beta, you can actually go through our directory, see brands by a bunch of different categories, and get that kind of breakdown. On top of that, one of the things that we're starting to notice as well right now is that consumers are really becoming a lot more focused in purchasing from companies based on cause, based on brand ethos and stuff like that. So we're going to be releasing collections in our brand catalog where you can kind of discover brands by different sort of like affinities. So whether it be it's a Black-owned business or a female-founded company made in the USA, zero carbon impact, we're going to be creating a really fun, I'd say, community of brands that you can come and discover and connect with for realizing some of these great opportunities. As was mentioned before, if Cart is completely free to use, you can go ahead and download it at any point in time. You can find us in the Shopify App Store, and we'll go ahead and get you set up from there. Great, thank you.
I see Cassandra said this is super cool and exciting. This is how I felt too, because I think this is really at like the next phase in influencer marketing. I think it almost kind of hit a wall and got stagnant. And I think this is really exciting because it just like opens up a whole new world of what brands can do and what influencers can do. Mm-hmm. So one question I had was, so do the customers then go into like both the influencer and the brand, like they would both own that customer? Like would they both be able to email them, like add them to their mailing list and communicate with them down the road?
Yeah, they're absolutely able to. And when we were taking a look at kind of like developing this this tech, one of the things when we were launching Carl that we heard from a lot of our partners that had Amazon sales channels as well is that Amazon, of course, obfuscates the customer information. So they don't share that to the retailers. And we thought that was an absolute miss and really just like not the right way of doing business. So one of the things that we really feel strongly about this as a sales channel is that we do share customer information between both parties. So if you're the supplier of the product and you're the retailer of the item as well, when you get that customer, you also get to realize that lifetime value as the supplier.
Yeah, a Feast is saying, great stuff. I was thinking about doing this with retail stores and ask them to sell my products, but your app is perfect for this. So,
yep.
And then we have one question from Victoria. She's saying she's using Caro. How do merchants typically find one another in order to connect and make use of the cross-selling feature?
Yeah, so there's actually a couple different ways. What we've actually found is that either brands will naturally on their own hear about this and then reach out to another brand that doesn't already have Caro installed, and they'll go ahead and say, hey, look, we want to do this thing with you. We also have a directory. So this directory contains all of the brands that are part of the Caro network for this brand partnerships program, where you can find them by different categories and effectively reach out to them from there. And we have a team internally that helps either get you connected with the brand that you want through the directory, or we can actually, our data science team will put a list of recommendations together based on audience affinities of other brand opportunities that you might not be thinking about traditionally.
Are you able to share how many people are in that directory?
We're doing it in stages right now. So like I mentioned, we're still in the alpha beta, but there's about 1,000 companies in that directory, maybe 1,500. Oh, wow. We're releasing more every week as like we're sort of granting access. I think in product development phase, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that everybody's supported along the way with their partnerships. And we're trying to make sure that, especially right now, for us, it's so important to get that feedback from both parties. So we're very involved with a lot of the partnerships that go live.
And you guys are actively out there kind of recruiting more people into the directory, because your goal is, I assume, to just
Yeah,
growing
absolutely.
it.
So, I mean, kind of the wonderful thing about Caro is, I mean, we've grown so much, and just, you know, we launched in March 2019. We're already at 24,000 companies that have us installed and are using us. And, you know, what happens is, it's interesting because we only updated this the other day, but we've been historically up to this point completely on the influencer marketing side. So now we're talking about brand partnerships openly and getting brands excited and interested about that. But this has been one of those things where it's very, very fun. People get really excited really easily. And like I said, I love it when you see an email come through and two brands are looking to work together, and you look at both of their websites and it's like, no duh, you guys should absolutely, this is so great. So excited. You guys are going to do so well.
Yeah, I think there's some big things ahead for you guys. Honestly, this is I think some of the kind of newer stuff that I've seen in terms of what apps are coming out with. So I'm really excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Kate. That was all the questions that I had in here for you.
Cool, perfect.
Yeah, so that wraps up our partner portal. So thanks again to Kate and Lizzie and Marco for joining us. I always like having you guys on here. You have so much good info that we don't have. So I'm very thankful that you guys share that with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, thanks, Kate. Wow, that Caro stuff. I've always thought that like these big box retailers are able to sell like every different kind of brand, and then they own the customer. What a terrible situation for the brand. But now you guys are very like transparent, very open, collaborative. Everybody gets to contact the customer. What a win-win for everyone. Thank you, Kate.